Hi Kids Life families. I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to dig into this great resource that we have, the Gospel in Color. I was going to go over just a few logistical things and then a couple of things that sort of jumped out at me as I was reading the introduction. So the first thing I was just going to say is that before you jump into this, it's a great idea to sort of think about how that's going to happen. And for us, I know for me, I want to make this a commitment for our family. I want it to be something that we do, or we don't just start and end or sort of do. So coming up as a family for when we're going to do this and then making a commitment. So for us, it's going to be Sundays after church. We're going to kind of move into this, and that's going to be when we study these things. And so I kind of have the week to go over it, the parent part of it, and then we can work together as a family with the kid part. But I just want to kind of reiterate that really we want to make that commitment that if we're going to do it, we're going to do it and we're going to follow through. So the other thing that you might want to have in your mind is what to do if there's some pushback, because I know in other times I've done some curriculum type things, the kids may do it for like one round and then the second time they're like, no, we're done with that. I don't want to do this, a lot of different things. So just be prepared that there may be some of that and what you're going to do for that. I know for us, when we first started it, we sort of sat down as a family and talked about why this is important for us, why this is important for our nation, for our country, for our world, why we need to be the ones spearheading this, and that's a really important thing for our family, and that's why we're going to continue to do this. I also mapped out that this is not a short thing, that so they know, we're getting into this, we're going to do this for like 5 weeks, and so every week we're going to have things that we're going to be talking about, but that they're important things, and that you need to make sure that they know that that's something that our family finds to be important, and that we have to do some work in order to do it. So just be aware there could be some pushback and some discussion that you could have maybe before you even start to hopefully remove some of that. So if you have purchased the books, great. If you have not purchased the books, please do that. If you need some scholarships, we've got those available. So if you have them, you may have already gotten a chance to look at them, but some things to think about. So there's a parent book and then there's the kids book. So I touched on this before, but they recommend that you go through the parent section first in the parent book, and then really there's so many great things in there. They talk a lot about really great things. They ask questions, they have scripture to read, and so all of those things are great things for you to do yourself before, and that allows you to kind of have some understanding before you jump in with the kids one. So after you've done the parent chapter, then together as a family, you can read the kids chapter and kind of go over the things that are in that part of it. And they lay out a couple of options for your younger kids, and they say 6 to 9, but honestly, I think you can talk about these things with kids that are even younger than that. I think they absolutely will be able to glean things from it, maybe not as deep, but that some of the words they use and the things they define are really important. So they say 6 to 9, you're going to go over it with your, read it together as a family, the kids chapter, touch on words to know. There's a reading and responding part, so there's some questions that they want you to answer. Then there's scripture memorization, and I really do love that piece to it. And they have a verse for you to look up, and it would be a great family project to work on writing that out and having it somewhere in your house so that it's with you all week, really focusing on it so that it's something that you're all working on together, adults and kids, and memorizing that scripture. And then they have the words to pray. So those are kind of the 4 things that they talk about in there. And so that's a really, I love how they kind of break that down for you, and you can have a chance to really look at each one of those sections. If you have older kids and they're not really down with the whole having you read it to them and that things, you could have them read the chapter first and give them a journal or something so that they can sort of take some notes. They talk about that. So that's another option for you. And then maybe meet back. I also really love that they say, make these connections from this book to real life and and especially even like things that they're learning on Sunday. So if you can connect them with things that Greg and Rich are talking about in Hebrews, or the things that we're connecting with, we just started a whole new session about Revelation in kids' life, so that they can make connections with that. So any way you can make more connections, I think it just makes it even more meaningful. So continuing to do that. So so those are some of the logistics for it. I'm really looking forward to getting started with this. I think for this week, if you would just kind of focus on the introduction piece, and then we will talk a little bit about that next week. So that gives you a little bit of time to kind of wrap your brain around some of these things, and we can talk about that, and then we'll start digging into the chapters once we get that done. But again, I'm looking forward to this. I hope you are as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at kidslifedirectors@gmail.com, and I'll see you next week.